Today I'm gonna review The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics by Olivia Waite. I received an arc of this through Edelweiss in exchange for an honest review, and this book is released on June 25th. The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics is an adult romance novel, and it is about a woman called Lucy, whose ex-lover, who is also a woman, just got married, and so she's just really trying to flee that whole situation. She doesn't even want to be near her, and then she finds a letter by this countess who is looking for someone to help translate this astronomy text. And Lucy helped her father a lot with astronomy stuff, especially shortly before he died, and so she feels like this is the kind of job for her. And the countess, on the other hand, is basically just looking for someone to translate it because it is a project of her former husband who has died, and she kind of wants to fulfill his legacy, so she's looking for someone to translate. And Lucy then kind of, meets this countess, and the story goes from there. Spoiler alert, not at all. They fall in love. So I've been really looking forward to this book because I've been really enjoying adult romance novels in the past couple of months, and having a historical romance novel with a female romance at the center of it is just something that I think we need much more of, and just made me incredibly happy, especially with that wonderful cover as well. So I could not wait to dive into this one, and I feel so very privileged that I got an arc of it, and I can say that I absolutely loved it. I think with books like this, with basically almost any queer book, but especially with books that have a historical setting, I think it is very important to talk about just the way these ladies being queer is handled, and I can say that I thought it was handled incredibly well. This is a book that definitely talks about the fact that there are people who are homophobic and that this is not something that is generally accepted in society, but it is something that we never experience firsthand. Yes, they have to hide it. They obviously don't walk around outside holding hands and kissing and stuff like that. And that is definitely something that gets addressed, but they are very safe in the environment that they are in, and when they are together, it is just all so happy and fluffy and easy, and it is a good kind of easy. I just really like that. With this one, I was really hoping that it was going to be a wholesome romance, and it totally is. And it was also just really lovely to see the people that are kind of close to them being really supportive and accepting of it. I just think that is so important. These kinds of stories are so very important, especially maybe even in historical settings, and just kind of thinking like, hey, maybe there were people out there like these two ladies that were in love and that were generally accepted by the people around them. So if you are scared to go into this one because you're scared it will have a lot of homophobia or it will not have a happily ever after, I can assure you that it is a wonderfully wholesome female historical romance. What this did very much focus on, especially with Lucy doing this work in astronomy, is that it has a lot of misogyny, especially obviously with women in science, but it is another thing that is handled in a way that feels so good and so hopeful. And it's not only women in science, there's also side characters that are women of color, and it just feels so good. And honestly, it never once took me out of the story. If you're the type of person who reads a fictional story and is like, oh, this wouldn't happen like that, then I don't really know what to tell you. You probably come to the wrong place. I immensely enjoyed it, and especially having read some historical fiction that was very historically accurate, I just had such a good time with this one. Everything that was kind of about how men kind of rule science and how they make an effort to exclude women just was handled in a way that felt very powerful, again, very hopeful, and was often dealt with in a comedic way, which I think is also very important. Just having the men kind of be comically stupid sometimes and not having them be these big bad people who are threatening you with all the bad things you could threaten a woman with. It's just often dealt in a way that's funny, and you're just kind of laughing at the men, honestly. I also love that this book put a lot of emphasis on consent. It does feature some explicit sex scenes, and so consent was always a thing. And I also think that it definitely showed that you need to listen to body language as well, and that it's not only about verbally consenting, and just to really listen to your partner and to really pay attention to your partner. I thought that was so beautifully done. And also just because someone has already had, several partners or had a partner for a long time, that does not mean anything. And it was especially great to see Lucy, as someone who had been with a woman before, kind of taking care of Catherine, who had never been with a woman before and for whom these feelings are like pretty new, and just kind of seeing Lucy take care of Catherine like that, even though she's also the younger one, just felt so nice. There was also this section about how Catherine's former husband enjoyed, receiving and giving pain during sex, and how that was something that, Catherine never consented to, and that is also like a thing. Like, just because you consent to having sex to someone does not mean that you're consenting to them doing whatever they want. I liked that this was brought up, but it was also brought up not in a way of like, oh, this is bad, but that it was a thing that was talked about as in it's okay, and some people enjoy that. It's just that all parties involved need to consent and need to be okay with this as well. And there was even a scene later on where this was even brought up in the relationship between the two, and where it was kind of shown that if there is enough trust and if all parties are consenting, that this can be enjoyable for everyone, even if they thought they might not enjoy it. It just made me happy. This whole novel just made me incredibly happy with everything that it did. I just think that it is so beautiful, so wholesome. It gave me a lot of feelings, and it has a lot of the kind of usual things you will know from your very average historical romance, but it just feels special because it is a romance between two women. Like, just the kind of angst that happened. It was definitely something that was like a misunderstanding, could have easily been resolved, but I was just kind of living for it, because I was like, the straights have gotten this trope for years and years and years and years. I am living for seeing this very usual, boring trope in a different way. I will say that I think there was a lot more potential for this romance to be slow burn, and there was even this one scene where I was like, oh, I wish the author would have like not made them confess their feelings for each other until that point, because it does happen rather early on in the novel. And so I think that if the author had waited a little bit more, especially until that point in the story where I was like, it should have happened here, I think this totally could have been a 5-star novel for me. Like, this is just a 4-star. But so I think that for a lot of people, it will move a little bit too quickly. I honestly, again, it could have been a 5-star if it had been more slow burn, but I honestly generally didn't really mind, because it was so great that this was so easy. It was just another thing that was wonderful to see, like how easy it was for these two women to be together and to confess their feelings for each other. It is something that is so rare, especially back in the day. So I didn't really mind all that much, because I was just like, yes, just be happy together. You know what I mean? So I'm putting it out there. I definitely think it could have been more slow burn. It's not like it's an insta-love. This is a romance novel. It's very much focused on their relationship. So the writing definitely leads to them really having feelings for each other and stuff like that. So it's well done. I just saw so much slow burn potential. I think otherwise I would not have even noticed, probably, because I usually not someone who minds if a romance like moves quickly or not, but I saw the potential. And so I think there will definitely be people who will think that this moved too quickly. For me, again, I thought it was absolutely fine, because I'm just craving two women in love, happy together, and I don't care if it happens quickly. So yeah, that's all of my thoughts on The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics. Obviously, highly recommend this book, but I also want to ask you, do you have any recommendations for female historical romance? Because I'm sure that there is more out there. It's just, I think, in a very hidden corner of the romance community, and I'm just not there yet. You know, I'm kind of still new, kind of still testing the waters. So if you have any recommendations, please leave them in the comments down below, but I'm just glad that this is another one that gets added to the catalog. Obviously, if you have already read the book, let me know if you also enjoyed it as much as I did, or if you're looking forward to it. And yeah, I make new videos every Wednesday and Sunday with occasional reviews on Friday, so click subscribe to never miss anything and hit the little bell so you get notified as well. And thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll see you soon.